Yeah.
So NI provides tools for other scientists and engineers to solve the world's greatest challenges. Basically, our tools are designed specifically for like test and measurement. So they are. I guess some examples are like Firestone might use some of our hardware and our software to test the durability of their tires and measure, what's the breaking point and things like that. So testing products and taking measurements and analyzing data and things like that.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So not with their work directly, just the measurement tools they use in their work.
Yeah, so we provide those. We create and develop and then sell those tools to whatever companies want to test their products.
Gotcha. And you said you are a staff technical writer.
Yeah.
Could you give me a brief description of how that fits in with NI?
Sure. So as a staff technical writer, briefly, it's my job to become very familiar with the product by working with the engineers and the developers of the product, and then take all of the technical information that they give me and translate it into user consumable content that will help the user to understand the product, to learn how to use the product, and ultimately to accomplish their goals with the product.
Great. And to get a sense of where you were coming from before National Instruments, could you talk about your educational background? Where you went to school and what you studied?
Yeah, so I went to school at St. Edward's University, graduate of the English Writing and Rhetoric program. And so I graduated back in 2012. I didn't do, so my track was the creative writing track in the ENGW program. But I found that my mind does work very analytically, and it turned out that there were NI recruiters on campus, and I was in the middle of like my career prep class. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing a lot of thinking about what I wanted to do after I graduated, and I seemed like a really cool place to work, and I did have a pretty good interest in technology, so I decided to give it a shot, and it seemed to be a really good fit. And
great.
Yeah, it worked out.
That's an interesting transition from creative writing to here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Could you? Let's see. Just briefly while you're looking back at college,
sure.
Could you say, and I know the answer to this,
it's okay.
but could you say any notable writing focused or design focused classes that you felt might have prepared you directly for here?
Sure, yeah. So career prep was one that was really good in helping me to prepare for a career in general. Mm-hmm. So they helped me, put my resume together and all that. But as far as like preparing me to do the actual work, mm-hmm. So tech and business writing, I think now it's called technical and business communication.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
That one was really good for me because I didn't have much tech writing experience. I wasn't on the professional track, so I was doing a lot of the creative writing, and it kind of it was one of my first exposures to mm-hmm. what writing in a business setting looked like. Mm-hmm. And so that did a good job of just preparing me for the type of writing that I was going to be doing here. But I think at the core of it, I think the ENGW classes do a really good job of helping you develop the audience analysis skills, writing with a purpose or goal in mind, putting together a cohesive piece of text or set of text that effectively and concisely conveys a meaningful mm-hmm. message. And so I think that at the core of it has done a really good job of helping me to prepare to be a technical writer. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of the conversations that we have here at NI as tech writers still revolve around those key things: the audience analysis, writing with a purpose, thinking about the user's goals and what they need to know. That's essentially like the core, the soul of technical writing. And
Yeah.
I think that the NGW program did a really good job of that. Most of the core NGW classes.
Great.
Yeah.
And later on, I'm going to ask you about maybe what you would like added, or you thought was missing. But that's
Sure.
great to hear about, all the successes. So I want to transition now, not looking back, but where you currently are. And for this section, I just want you to keep in mind that anytime I say writing,
Mm-hmm.
I really mean creating content in general.
Okay.
So, in whatever form it may take,
Sure.
right? So, just a premise, because I'm interested in the kinds of writing practices and responsibilities you currently have in your job, I'd like to begin by asking you to tell me about a recent project.
Sure.
And focus on during your completion of this project, or you're working on this project, what sort of writing or content creation do you do? It could be anything from emails to editing text to creating visuals, or web page design. Really, anything that goes into the project that involves communication or creating, content.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is all in regards to like the one project that I worked on.
And I guess, and it doesn't need to be your most recent project.
Sure, yeah.
But anything you have in mind.
Yeah, I've got one in mind. I think, so I don't know that I'm allowed to speak in like specifics. I can talk generally about it, but I had a project and I won't go into too many of the technical details because I don't think that they're super important for this particular research project. But basically, I had a project where I needed to document a specific part of a specific feature in a software application called LabVIEW Communications System Design Suite.
Okay.
And basically, the product is designed for communications. Scientists and engineers who are developing communications algorithms, and so I don't want to get too much into the details, but just to put some context to it, we anticipate that this software application is going to be used for like 5G research and 6G research, and basically it's designed to help engineers prototype their wireless communications algorithms, more quickly and efficiently.
Okay.
And so there's a part of that product that changes data types from floating point to fixed point. And so I was responsible for writing the documentation about how to use that tool to change those data types. And so that's kind of the background for this project.
And so you were actually creating the documentation itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was creating the document. This is a brand new product. It released back last December, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a brand new product, so there wasn't any documentation already existing for it. So I was the owner of this piece of documentation. I had to create it from scratch and then have it reviewed and all of that stuff.
So when you went about creating this documentation, this original piece of work, could you tell me about? I'm assuming there was a lot of collaboration involved between you and the various departments that were working on it. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in anything that we write, there's a lot of collaboration. In particular, for the group for LabVIEW, the product that we write for, there are a lot of technical writers on our team. There are tons of engineers and developers on the team. we have marketing contacts that we have to sync up with. Our user